that this place actually gave you a selection of the 5 different wines you can choose from. Did you guys get that? So you could taste what and know what you wanted? Did you try it? I'm having a charger and it's very delicious. But apparently they just put salt in the water. I think that's to make you drink more. Oh, wine, the nectar of the gods. I've always loved wine. I learned about wine when I was in communion class, and they were giving us the stories of Jesus making water into wine. What a miracle. And getting ready for communion. And they said, well, you're going to take a sip of wine, which is going to represent his blood, and you're going to partake of his body. And I'm like, does the church really want us to be cannibals and vampires? This is kind of confusing to me. But of course, they didn't tell me that it wasn't really wine. It was Welch's grape juice. And, of course it was tasteless cracker. So I liked the wine, and I called it Jesus juice. So I said, please get some Jesus juice when you're at the grocery store. And Jesus needs more salt for his body. So that's my introduction to wine. So I didn't taste my real wine until I was 16 years old, and my first boyfriend was Italian. So he had me over to his house for an Italian meal. Now, he came from an immigrant family, so not many people spoke English in the home, and he sat me next to the grandfather. So I'm 16 years old. I don't know anything about Italian culture or how they eat, nothing. And he had a big bottle of Chianti right in front of him, and he kept plying me with little glasses of wine for the whole meal. So he didn't know that it's illegal to give a minor 16 years old wine, but I didn't let him know about this. So I took advantage of it. Now, I thought the antipasto course was the main course at dinner. Little did I know. Oh, the cheeses, the salami, the prosciutto, the olives, oh my God, right? And then, oh no, this is just the first course. Really? It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but now it's 2 o'clock. Okay. Then comes out the soup. The little meatballs, Italian wedding soup. You ever have that? It's really good. Now that's like a meal for me. I'm from the Midwest, they're pretty cheap on the food. Oh no, were we done? Oh no. Now comes the pasta dishes, and then the meat courses, 2 different kinds of meat. They had turkey, and it wasn't even Thanksgiving. I was like, oh my God. And then you had the fruit and the nuts, and then the Venetian dessert table. You're letting out your pants by this point. The guys are going for park walks. I'm with the ladies helping doing the dishes, and then comes up the cordials. So I got to taste Frangelica and Amaretto and all those other things. That's pretty good, and that's practically all I remember. I was pretty sad for that time. As a teenager, we weren't, so excited about the taste of things as much as we wanted to get drunk or high as soon as possible. So I was dating some guy out of town, and they had this great place in the middle of the woods with 5 escape routes in case the cops came, and it was also next to a lake. So we had a lean-to, we had a sofa that we dragged out there, we brought a keg of beer, I like the wine course, okay? So we're doing that, we're getting pretty soused, and we decided it'd be a great idea for us to go skinny dipping in the lake. So, we take our clothes off and stuff, and we had a scout just in case the cops showed up, and of course, the cops showed up, okay? So we're in the middle of the lake, stark naked, and one kid grabbed all the clothes and brought it on the other side of the lake so we could swim out to it. The cops arrested most of us, and a couple of us hid underneath of one of those lake raft kind of things, and we almost drowned because we were laughing so hard. So we get to the other side of the lake. It's pitch dark out. We didn't know whose clothes was whose, so of course we had somebody else's pants on, somebody else's shirt on, different pairs of socks, and shoes if you could find them, and we went home. So of course I got busted and I got grounded, but it was worth it. As a young adult and I got married, we went to Iowa on Christmas Day after we had gotten married, and my mother had sent us to our new apartment with 2 Cornish hens, a bottle of wine, and Brussels sprouts, which we both hate, and 2 potatoes. That was going to be our Christmas meal. So we moved into this apartment, and the people before us clogged up the sink. So we had to call the landlord, unclog the sink, and we gave him our only bottle of wine. So it was a very sad occasion. Now, when you're, first married, and he was in school and I was working as a nurse, but not making much money, we didn't have money for, beer, wine, or anything like that. And my husband had a recipe for dandelion wine. And we're like, well, we got a graveyard right over here, loaded with dandelions. And we knew that people didn't walk their dogs in the cemetery. So we figured at 2 o'clock in the morning, we'd go collect dandelions for the wine. So we collected the dandelions for the wine. We brought it into the apartment. Now, this apartment was so small that this gallery kitchen, I didn't even have a counter. So we had to put all these dandelions on top of the dining room table. Ants everywhere. Ants, right? Ugh, disgusting, right? I figured it's better than dog poop, right?
Yeah.
So the only place we had made a little sill in a hallway closet. So we're percolating the wine for a good couple of months, and it actually had a second fermentation. So it ended up being sparkling dandelion wine. 1978 was a good vintage. Probably could have made some money off of that right now, right? So the dandelion wine lasted us the rest of college. So we decided to go to Italy, when I turned 40, and go to Rome. You guys ever been to Rome? No? What a romantic city, right? So our first dinner out, we're with a group, the Globes people up on. It's a travel group, and we were on a bus. We're having 30 people on this bus, right? So we go to this restaurant. I order a nice pasta meal, a nice glass of red wine, and I'm the one that gets pinched by the waiter. Now, I'm not talking about this kind of pinch. I'm talking about a real good one, I got a juicy ass, so we're seeing doing it. But the women were jealous because they didn't get pinched. So my husband arranged for a waiter to pinch this one woman who was very jealous a couple of weeks later. Made her day. But we enjoyed wine. We went to Florence, and we went to this place where everything was made there. Vegetables, meat, the wine, under the stars, under a lemon tree. I mean, how great was that? Now that's the way to drink wine, right? So then our next trip, we went to South Africa. Have you ever been to South Africa? Well, they have vineyards there in Johannesburg area. People from Swiss. You ever see the movie Out of Africa? Mm-hmm. Awful movie. I mean, I love Meryl Streep, but that was a doozer. But they do have these wonderful vineyards, and you go to one vineyard, and they're like, oh, you got to try this with different cheeses. Okay. Right? So you have like 16 different cheeses, and you're drinking all sorts of different wines. And then we went to another vineyard, and they paired it with chocolate. I mean, you can't go wrong with wine and chocolate with wine, right? One of my favorite foods. So we enjoyed that as well. Now, being a mom, the kids drive me crazy, and then COVID hit. Well, my friend has a husband that works in the distribution center in North Carolina. And he said the biggest customers were the mothers coming in to get their wine just to make it through the day. So a lot of women came out with serious alcohols during COVID. And I'll tell you what, it was really tempting, to drink the mommy juice to make it through the day. So, what else was I going to say? So, we're not wine snobs. If you find a wine that's reasonable in cost, we love it. I'm not against having a box wine, or somebody brings a gift. Our motto is try it, you might like it. So, but I have a French-Canadian stepmother who's a wine snob. So she would come over for dinner, and she'd talk about going to the Brotherwood Winery, and having all her French wines, and, talking about all this stuff like she's a sommelier. And what are we going to get this woman, right? So my husband got the bright idea of mixing 2 boxed wines and putting in a fancy glass bottle, and she never knew. Oh, this is delicious. Now you can't have this vintage customer. But maybe we should start packaging the dandelion wine and going on to Shark Tank. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah.
So, Italian family, I got exposed to all sorts of different foods and drinks and cordials and stuff like that. And I have ballooned over the years from 130 pounds to this. But, you know, it's all been worth it. So, hope you're having a good night. Thank you, family and friends. It took me to go to a vineyard before you'd come and see me.